Ethan Hayes was not supposed to be alive. His small starship had been pulled out of orbit by a violent storm of magnetic energy, the kind that no human chart had predicted. His engines burned out, alarms screamed, and the vessel spiraled down through clouds of fire. He remembered gripping the controls, his jaw tight as the planet's surface grew closer and closer. By all rights, the crash should have ended him. But luck, or something more, was on his side. His emergency systems deployed at the last second. The ship hit the ground hard, tearing through an open plain of silver grass and jagged black stone. Sparks flew, metal bent, and silence followed. Ethan staggered out of the broken hatch, coughing on smoke but alive. The world he stepped onto was unlike anything he had seen before. The sky was a deep violet, not blue, with two suns burning faintly behind rolling clouds. Strange, tall trees stood in the distance, their trunks glowing softly like lanterns. The ground shimmered with crystal dust, almost too beautiful for a crash site, but Ethan was not alone. Figures appeared from the haze, armored and armed. Their armor gleamed with dark metal and flowing symbols. Their tall frames carried blades that hummed with energy. Their eyes, golden and sharp, fixed on Ethan with suspicion. He raised his hand slowly, coughing again. "I come in peace," he said, though he doubted they understood. One of the armored figures stepped forward. She removed her helmet, revealing sharp, regal features. Her skin was pale silver, her hair dark as night, braided with jewels. Her presence was commanding, and though Ethan had never met her before, he knew instantly, this was not just a soldier. This was someone important. She studied him with cold curiosity. "A stranger," she said in a language that somehow echoed in his mind. Her words reached him as though translated by the air itself. "A being of flesh we have not seen. You fall from the stars yet live," Ethan swallowed. I mean no harm." The woman raised her hand and her guards surrounded him. Their blades pointed close to his chest. He froze. He had no weapon, no shield. The woman's golden eyes narrowed. "You will come with us." They brought him to a city unlike any human settlement. Towering spires of crystal and metal rose from the ground, glowing softly in the violet sky. Bridges of light connected buildings, and strange creatures with feathered wings glided above. The streets were filled with people of the same silver skin, dressed in flowing robes or armor. When they saw Ethan, they stopped and whispered, staring at the alien among them. At the heart of the city stood a grand palace carved into a mountain of black stone. Its gates were guarded by warriors who bowed deeply as the woman approached. Ethan was dragged inside, still dazed, still unsure if this was real. The palace throne room was vast, with banners hanging high and torches burning blue flames. At the far end, upon a dais, sat a queen. Her crown glimmered with sharp crystals and her long cloak trailed down the steps. Her eyes, deeper gold than the others, pierced Ethan the moment she looked at him. The woman who had captured him bowed before the throne. "My queen," she said firmly, "this being fell from the sky. He is unlike any we have seen. He claims no harm." The queen leaned forward, her voice steady. "Bring him closer." Ethan was pushed to his knees before her. His heart pounded. He had faced storms, hunger, and the endless dark of space, but never had he faced a ruler of another world. The queen studied him in silence. Finally she spoke. "You are fragile, small. Your kind must be weak, else we would have heard of you before. Tell me, what are you?" Ethan took a breath. "I am human. My people come from a world called Earth. I was exploring the stars, until I crashed here." The queen tilted her head. "Human." She spoke the word as if testing its weight. "You speak with courage, though you tremble." Ethan pressed his lips together. I didn't ask to intrude, but I am alive. That must mean something." For the first time the queen smiled faintly, though it was not warm. It was curious. "Alive, yes. Many would have perished in such a fall. Perhaps fate brought you here, or perhaps you are a danger we do not yet see." Her court murmured around her. Some nobles scoffed, others frowned. One tall noble in dark armor stepped forward. "My queen, this creature is frail. He should be executed at once. Why waste time?" But the queen raised her hand, silencing him. Her golden gaze returned to Ethan. "No, he will not die, yet. He shall remain in our keeping until his worth is known." That night, Ethan was given a small chamber in the palace. It was beautiful, but felt more like a cage. Guards stood outside his door. He sat by the window, staring at the twin suns setting in the horizon. The alien city glowed with life, lanterns floating in the air like fireflies. He touched the broken communicator on his wrist. It was dead. No way to contact Earth. No way to leave. For the first time in years, Ethan felt truly alone. Yet something stirred in him. The Queen's words echoed in his mind until his worth is known. He clenched his fists. Then I'll show them, he whispered to himself. I'll show them humans aren't weak. The next morning the Queen summoned him again. This time the throne room was filled with warriors and nobles, their eyes watching closely. The princess stood beside the Queen, a young woman with long silver hair and eyes as bright as her mother's, though softer, kinder. She studied Ethan with quiet curiosity. The Queen's voice rang out. Ethan of Earth, you are a stranger, unproven. In our realm, worth is not spoken, it is shown. If you are to live among us, you must endure trials. You must prove your courage, your mind, and your spirit. The hall murmured with interest. Some laughed at the thought of the fragile outsider facing their trials. Others whispered that perhaps the Queen was testing fate itself. Ethan stood straighter, though his heart raced. Then I'll face them. The Queen's golden eyes glowed with fire. We shall see if your words hold weight, human. Tomorrow the trials begin. The princess looked at him once more before turning away. But in her eyes there was something he did not expect. Hope. And so Ethan's story in the alien kingdom began. Not as a conqueror or prisoner, but as a stranger who had to prove his worth. He did not know what the trials would bring. He only knew one thing. If he wanted to survive, if he wanted a place in this world, he would need to show them the true strength of humanity. The morning sun painted the alien city in shades of violet and gold, its twin suns rising slowly over the crystal towers. Ethan stood outside the palace gates, his heart pounding. Today was the day of his first trial. The Queen's words rang in his ears. You must endure trials. You must prove your courage, your mind, and your spirit. He was led to a large arena at the edge of the city. The ground was black stone, carved smooth with glowing lines marking strange patterns. Warriors and nobles filled the stands, their golden eyes fixed on him. Some whispered, others laughed softly. Ethan could feel their doubt pressing down on him like a physical weight. The princess watched from a high balcony, her expression unreadable but alert. When their eyes met, she gave him a small nod. Ethan nodded back, silently promising himself that he would not fail. Not in front of her. Not in front of this alien world. A herald stepped forward. Ethan of Earth, your first trial is the trial of strength. You will face 3 of our finest warriors. You must prove that your body can withstand challenge, and your courage can hold against danger. Ethan swallowed. He had trained on Earth, yes, but never against beings far stronger than humans. His muscles tensed. He tried to calm his racing mind. The first warrior approached, a giant of a man, or rather of a silver-skinned alien. His arms were thick, his armor gleaming. He wielded a curved blade that hummed with energy. Ethan had no weapon. His hands were bare, the crowd gasped, the warrior lunged. Ethan jumped back instinctively, dodging a strike that would have cut him in 2. He rolled on the stone floor, narrowly avoiding another swing. Panic rose in his chest. This was not like anything he had faced before. Then he remembered something. On Earth, humans had survived predators far bigger and stronger than themselves. Not with brute force, but with quick thinking and cleverness. Ethan glanced around. The arena's glowing lines pulsed faintly beneath his feet. He remembered the ship's emergency systems, the way he had rigged devices to save himself in impossible situations. Maybe he could use the arena itself. He led the warrior toward a glowing panel in the stone. When the warrior struck, Ethan jumped aside and pushed the panel. A pulse of energy shot up, throwing the alien backward. He stumbled, but quickly recovered. Ethan realized he could not defeat them by strength alone. He had to outsmart them. Using his speed, agility, and careful observation, he dodged attacks, used the environment to his advantage, and stayed just out of reach. After several tense minutes, the warrior fell to the ground, exhausted but unharmed, and the crowd gasped. The second warrior was quicker, smaller, and more agile. He darted toward Ethan, striking from unexpected angles. Ethan's body burned with fatigue, but he forced himself to stay focused. He noticed the warrior relied on rhythm and repetition. Ethan feigned one move, then went another. The warrior stumbled, and Ethan used a small kick to unbalance him, making him fall. The final warrior was the most fearsome, towering, heavily armored, and wielding twin energy swords. The crowd fell silent. Ethan's lungs burned as he dodged blows, narrowly avoiding a strike that left a scorched mark on the stone. Every step he took required precise timing. Then, just as the warrior raised both bly, the morning after Ethan's trials, the city woke under an uneasy sky. The twin suns rose slowly, but the light seemed dim, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Rumors had already begun to spread throughout the palace and the city. A fleet of invaders had been spotted at the edge of the sector. Ethan was summoned to the Queen's council chamber. The room was vast, filled with holographic star maps, glowing orbs that hovered in midair, and the strongest leaders of the kingdom. Warriors in silver armor stood silent, but their faces betrayed worry. The Queen rose from her throne, her golden eyes sharp and commanding. "Ethan of Earth," she began, her voice carrying authority and curiosity, "you have proven your strength, mind, and spirit. But now our kingdom faces a greater test. Forces from beyond our stars seek to conquer us. Our warriors are skilled, but our tactics may not be enough. What would you advise?" Ethan's pulse quickened. He had read about alien militaries before, but facing one in real life was different. He took a deep breath, remembering what had saved him during his trials: observation, logic, and ingenuity. "Your Majesty," he said, "I've studied battles and defenses on Earth. I believe we can use your terrain, technology, and people in ways the invaders won't expect. Guerrilla tactics, traps, and coordination between civilians and soldiers could help us." A murmur ran through the council. Some warriors scoffed. "You are but a human, small and fragile. What do you know of war?" Ethan stood straighter, meeting their gaze. "I've faced impossible odds before. Humans survive not by being the strongest, but by being smart, adaptable, and brave." The princess stepped forward. "He speaks the truth," she said quietly. "Perhaps his ideas are worth considering." The Queen studied Ethan, then nodded. "Very well. We will hear your plan in detail. But know this, failure may cost us dearly." The next hours were spent in preparation. Ethan walked through the city, observing soldiers, civilians, and the landscape. He noted choke points, natural barriers, and weak spots in the enemy's likely approach. He spoke with engineers, teaching them how to modify energy shields and deploy decoys. Many in the palace doubted him. Some whispered that the humans were lucky, that Ethan's past victories were anomalies. But others, including the princess, watched closely, hope flickering in their eyes. When the first scouts of the invading fleet appeared, the city's alarms rang. Dark ships, jagged and menacing, descended through the violet sky. Ethan stood at the palace balcony, pointing to weak spots in the city walls. "Divide the forces," he instructed. "Use the northern cliffs for ambush. Civilian drones can distract them. Don't meet them head-on. Make them underestimate us." The Queen watched silently, her expression unreadable. But the princess whispered, "He's brave and smart." The battle began at midday. Energy blasts lit the sky and the alien warriors fought fiercely. Ethan's plan was unconventional. While the strongest warriors faced the enemy in the open, smaller units moved through secret paths, cutting off supply lines and using traps he had devised. Many of the kingdom's soldiers doubted him at first, but as the tactics worked, their hesitation turned to awe. Ethan moved among them, giving instructions, adjusting strategies, and encouraging the civilians to fight alongside the trained warriors. In one decisive moment, a squad of enemy ships approached the city's eastern gate. The soldiers were ready to charge, but Ethan noticed the terrain had a hidden ravine. He signaled the engineers, who activated a series of energy nets and gravity traps. The enemy ships crashed into the traps, their crews stunned. The crowd watching from above gasped. The Queen's eyes widened. Even her most trusted generals were astonished. But the victory was not without peril. A massive enemy commander broke through the defenses, heading straight for the palace. Warriors rushed to intercept, but they were no match. Ethan's heart pounded. He did not hesitate. Using a combination of agility and quick thinking, he led the enemy through a series of traps in the palace courtyard. The commander, overconfident in his strength, stumbled into an energy net and fell, defeated but unharmed. The city erupted in cheers. Ethan had saved the palace and turned the tide of the battle. After the enemy retreat, the Queen called a council. Ethan stood quietly, listening as generals and nobles debated strategy. When it was his turn, he spoke calmly. "The invaders may return," he said. "We need to unite the people, strengthen defenses, and teach everyone to work together. Victory is not about the strongest warriors alone, it's about cooperation, strategy, and courage." The princess smiled, pride shining in her eyes. "He is right," she said. The Queen studied Ethan carefully. You have done more than survive our trials, human. You have shown leadership, wisdom, and courage. You are not like other humans we have imagined. Perhaps you are special, the nobles whispered, some reluctantly nodding in agreement. Ethan felt a surge of hope. For the first time, he was not just a stranger in this world, he was a person who could make a difference. That night, the city celebrated. Not with excessive luxury, but with quiet joy. Civilians and soldiers alike sang songs of courage and survival. Ethan walked through the streets, seeing people smile, wave, and thank him. The princess approached him. "You have done more than survive," she said softly. "You have helped save my people." Ethan looked at her, humbled. "I only did what I could. I want to help." "That's all?" Her eyes sparkled. "Perhaps humans are more than we imagined." "You have a heart, Ethan, a rare gift." The queen watched from her balcony, silent, thoughtful. She had expected strength and bravery, yes, but not leadership, not ingenuity, not compassion. Ethan had exceeded every expectation. And yet she knew this was only the beginning. Shadows still lingered over her kingdom and other tests awaited. But for now, one truth was clear. The human stranger had earned a place in their hearts. Ethan stood on the balcony that night, looking up at the violet sky. Stars twinkled above, and he thought of Earth, so far away, and of the friends and family he had left behind. He knew he would never forget them. But here on this distant world he felt a new purpose. He was not just surviving. He was helping, leading, and showing what humanity could do when courage, intelligence, and heart came together. And for the first time he felt that maybe, just maybe, humans had a place among the stars, not just as wanderers, but as heroes. The victory over the invading fleet had brought a brief moment of relief, but Ethan knew it would not last. The Queen's advisors warned that the enemy would return stronger, smarter, and hungrier for conquest. The city buzzed with activity as warriors trained tirelessly, engineers fortified defenses, and scouts patrolled the skies. Ethan, once a stranger, now moved among them as a strategist, helping to prepare for the next wave. The princess often accompanied him. She had grown fond of his courage, his calm under pressure, and his way of seeing solutions where others saw only problems. Yet beyond admiration, Ethan could sense a deeper connection forming, a bond of respect, trust, and perhaps something more. One morning, alarms blared across the city. Scouts had reported a surprise attack. A squadron of enemy ships had slipped past the outer defenses and were heading directly toward the palace. Ethan grabbed a map of the city and called the closest warriors to him. "We need to split our forces," he said, pointing to hidden passages, weak walls, and choke points. "I'll take the main hall and coordinate the defense there. You lead the squads along the flanks. Keep the princess safe. No heroics, just precision." The queen, watching silently from the balcony, raised an eyebrow. "You will lead them yourself?" she asked, her voice steady. Ethan nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty. If I can help organize the defense, we stand a better chance." The princess frowned but did not argue. "Be careful," she said softly, and Ethan met her gaze with a reassuring nod. The enemy struck swiftly. Ships descended from the violet sky, energy weapons blazing. The palace gates shook under their assault. Warriors clashed with the enemy in the courtyards, their swords and shields glowing against the darkness of the ships. Ethan moved through the chaos with a clarity he had learned during his trials. He shouted instructions, guided squads to strategic positions, and used the city's unique terrain to their advantage. Civilians, once afraid, now carried energy slings and shields he had trained them to use. Together they created barriers, traps, and ambushes that slowed the enemy's advance. Suddenly, Ethan noticed a shadowy figure moving toward the princess's chamber. The guards had been overwhelmed in that sector. Without thinking, he sprinted forward, dodging energy blasts and debris. His heart pounded as the figure drew closer. It was an enemy commander, larger and faster than any warrior Ethan had seen. "Stay behind me," he shouted as he reached the princess's room. The princess hesitated for a moment, then stepped back, trusting him. The enemy commander lunged. Ethan rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike, then used a low, sweeping kick to destabilize the invader. The figure stumbled but regained balance, raising its weapon again. Ethan remembered the lessons from the trial of strength. Cleverness over brute force. Spotting a structural support beam above, he grabbed it and swung downward, striking the commander's weapon and sending it clattering across the floor. With the enemy temporarily disarmed, Ethan leaped, knocking the figure into a reinforced energy net that the palace engineers had set up earlier. The enemy struggled, but the net held firm. The princess rush. The city was quiet at dawn, but the calm felt fragile. Scouts had returned with troubling news. The enemy was regrouping, preparing a massive attack. Their fleet would strike soon, and this time, they would come with overwhelming force. The Queen called an emergency council with Ethan at her side. "You have proven yourself in battle and in strategy," the Queen said, her golden eyes sharp. "But this will test you like never before. Can you help us survive what is coming?" Ethan nodded. "I will do everything I can. We can use the city, the terrain, and every person willing to fight. Together we can win." The princess stepped closer. "I believe in you," she said softly. "You've done so much already." Ethan's heart lifted at her words. He knew the coming challenge would be greater than any trial, any battle he had faced. But he also knew he could not back down. Not now. The city prepared for war. Walls were strengthened with energy barriers, streets cleared for defense, and civilians trained to assist with supplies and traps. Ethan moved from group to group, teaching, encouraging, and coordinating. Warriors who had once doubted him now followed his plans without question. Even the Queen's advisors, once skeptical, nodded as he outlined strategies for ambushes, flanking maneuvers, and evacuation routes. Ethan understood one simple truth. The coming battle would not be won by strength alone. It required every mind, every hand, and every heart in the city working as one. When the enemy fleet arrived, the sky darkened with their ships. The twin suns of the alien world barely pierced the shadow of their massive forms. Energy blasts lit the violet sky as the invaders began their assault. Ethan ran along the battlements, giving instructions, moving soldiers to weak points, and adjusting strategies in real time. "Use the northern cliffs," he shouted. "Traps are set, don't fall for decoys." The enemy commanders had expected a normal defense, but Ethan's unconventional tactics confused them. Ambushes from hidden positions, civilian reinforcements, and carefully coordinated counterattacks disrupted their formations. Ships that had seemed unstoppable fell into traps, forcing the enemy to retreat repeatedly. Through the chaos, Ethan's mind remained clear. He noticed patterns in the enemy's movements, predicting their next steps and sending squads to intercept. He coordinated strikes with a precision that astonished even the seasoned alien warriors. Midway through the battle, a massive enemy ship broke through the defenses and aimed directly for the palace. Panic spread among the defenders. Ethan did not hesitate. He led a small strike team to intercept it, moving swiftly across the rooftops and streets. The enemy soldiers were strong, but Ethan's team worked with precision, taking advantage of every weak point he had identified. At one point, the ship unleashed a devastating energy blast, sending shockwaves through the palace grounds. Ethan was thrown to the ground, dust and debris filling the air. He felt a sharp pain in his shoulder but forced himself up. There was no time to rest. Lives depended on him. With clever maneuvering, Ethan led the enemy commander into a trap he had prepared earlier. The commander stumbled into a containment field, immobilized but unharmed. The battle shifted again in the city's favor. By sunset, the enemy fleet had been forced to retreat. Their losses were staggering, and they would not return for a long time. The city had survived, and it owed its survival to Ethan's courage, ingenuity, and leadership. The Queen summoned him once more to the throne room. She studied him carefully, her golden eyes observing every detail, his bruises, his fatigue, but also the strength and confidence he now carried. "You have done more than survive our trials, human," she said. "You have led our people, protected my daughter, and shown wisdom beyond what we expected. You have earned respect that few outsiders ever achieve. Perhaps you are worthy of a place not just among us but within our family." The hall fell silent. Nobles whispered, some in disbelief, others in admiration. The princess stood by the Queen, her expression calm but her eyes shining with pride and something more. Ethan swallowed, unsure of what to say. "Your Majesty, I only did what I had to. I wanted to help. I could not stand by while others were in danger." The Queen's gaze softened. "And that, human, is why you are extraordinary. Not because of strength or cleverness alone, but because of your heart. You risked everything for others, not for glory, but because it was the right thing to do." The princess stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on Ethan's arm. "I have seen your courage, your mind, and your spirit. You are remarkable, Ethan. Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. He had not expected such recognition. Not from a queen, not from a princess, not from anyone. Yet he also knew it was not about recognition. He had fought not for praise, but for people. And now he realized that effort had earned him something greater. The queen's voice rang out again, clear and powerful. Ethan of Earth, you have proven yourself beyond all expectations. You have earned the right to live among us, to stand beside us, and to be trusted with my daughter's future. You have earned the right to marry her. A hush fell over the room. Ethan's eyes widened and he looked at the princess. She met his gaze with a quiet, steady smile, her eyes filled with trust and admiration. Ethan's heart pounded. This was more than he had ever imagined. From a stranger who fell from the stars, he had become a hero, a protector, and now, someone entrusted with the princess's hand in her heart. He bowed deeply. Your Majesty, I am honored. I will do everything I can to honor your trust and your family. The queen nodded, satisfied. We will see, Ethan. The future will test you further, but for now, you have earned this recognition. Let your actions continue to prove your worth. That evening, the city celebrated, not with extravagance, but with quiet joy. People sang, danced, and shared meals. Warriors and civilians alike cheered Ethan's name, recognizing the human who had helped them survive impossible odds. The princess sought him out among the crowd. You've done more than I ever expected, she said. You've shown courage, wisdom, and heart. I am proud to stand with you. Ethan smiled, exhausted but happy. I could not have done it alone. Everyone helped, soldiers, civilians, even you. You inspired me to keep going. She touched his arm gently. And you inspired all of us. You are not just a stranger anymore. You belong here. Ethan looked around at the city, the people he had helped, the warriors who now respected him, and the princess who had become a beacon of hope and trust. He realized that this was more than survival. This was connection, purpose, and a chance to build a future beyond his wildest dreams. As night fell, Ethan stood on the palace balcony, looking at the violet sky and the twin suns disappearing behind the horizon. Stars sparkled above, countless and distant, reminding him of Earth far away. Yet he no longer felt alone. He had fallen from the stars as a stranger. Now he stood as a hero, a protector, and someone who had earned the trust of an entire kingdom. The Queen's choice had given him a path forward, but it was his courage, heart, and determination that had truly brought him here. And Ethan knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them, not as a lone human, but as someone who belonged among these people, in this world, and perhaps one day, beside the princess who now trusted him completely. For the first time, he felt that humans were not just wanderers among the stars. They were capable of greatness, of courage, and of love that could bridge worlds. The morning after the city's victory was quiet, yet it felt alive with a sense of hope. Twin suns rose slowly over the violet sky, casting long shadows across the crystal towers and glowing gardens. The air smelled of ozone and fresh dew, a mixture unique to this alien world. Ethan stood on the palace balcony, watching the city slowly come to life. Soldiers repaired walls, engineers adjusted energy shields, and civilians cleared debris with smiles and chatter. For Ethan, the city had become more than a place to survive. It had become home. The Queen's words from the night before echoed in his mind. You have earned the right to marry my daughter. It was a recognition he had never expected, yet it filled him with quiet determination. This was not a title, not a reward, it was a responsibility. The princess approached, her steps light and deliberate. Her silver hair shimmered in the morning light, and her eyes met his with warmth and admiration. Ethan, she said softly, the city owes you everything. But more than that, I owe you my trust. Will you walk with me today? Ethan smiled, offering his arm. I would be honored. Together they walked through the streets, greeting the people who had fought, suffered, and survived. Citizens bowed, waved, and called out their thanks. Warriors nodded with respect, acknowledging the human who had helped lead them to victory. Even children ran alongside them, their laughter filling the air with a rare joy. The Queen watched from her throne as Ethan and the princess returned to the palace gardens. She had been silent for much of the morning, observing the aftermath of the battle and the people's reaction. Now she rose and approached them. Her golden eyes glowed with a mixture of pride and careful consideration. Ethan of Earth, she began, her voice steady and commanding. You have done more than survive your trials. You have led my people in battle, protected my daughter, and shown wisdom beyond your years. Your courage and heart have earned you a place here, not as a guest, but as one of us. Tomorrow your bond with my daughter will be honored. Ethan bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, I